Hello, everybody. Welcome to Womenlines.com. At a time when the world has become a global village and distances do not play that big a role in the hiring of valuable resources, various barriers, earlier considered to be strong determining factors in the selection of candidates. Gender, region, language, religion, caste, class, occupation, background, disability, race, and sexual orientation are not expected to be challenging factors anymore for anyone applying for jobs. But the situation is not as idle as the world would like it to be. Employers implementing the principles of diversity in recruitment are few as of now. Roads need to be traveled, gaps need to be bridged, sensitization needs to be done, and mindset needs to be addressed. And hence, the creation of India Diversity Forum in India has happened. Yes, friends, in all words by India Diversity Forum, we are having today Rishi Kapoor, Head of Management Committee, India Diversity Forum today. Diversity ensures the safety, dignity, and happiness of each and every employee and motivate them to give their best at the workplace, isn't it? Rishi is instrumental in creating intellectual properties which are sustainable and outcome-driven eventually, that leads to change and creating impact on the society. He is one of the partners in Sapphire Human Solutions and started his own business unit and passionate about D&I and hence diversity and inclusion, and hence he is the management head committee of India's only industry body, India Diversity Forum. Welcome, Rishi, to Womenline Show.
Thank you, Charu. Pleasure to be part of your show. And I'm all yours. You can ask anything with regards to diversity and inclusion, and I will love to answer. And because whatever way I can contribute towards making aware about why diversity, equity, inclusion is a need of an hour, I will be more than happy.
Fantastic. So, Rishi, tell me what diversity and inclusion means to you and how you think platforms like IDF can play an important role in establishing it.
First of all, Charu, I think for me, diversity and inclusion is more to do with the capability and how an individual perform. It has nothing to do which background they represent. It has nothing to do how they probably be part of the culture in the system. One, of course, it's a good to have a policy to have a diversified culture. It's good to have people contributing in whatever ways they can in terms of probably building a culture of inclusiveness. But while we should look at the capability as the parameter,
Correct.
I think that should be the underline. And as IDF, as the only body in India, the whole purpose was to create awareness about diversity, equity, and inclusion, not only at the corporate level, but also at the national level and even at the government level, how we can have everyone together promoting diversity, including equity and inclusion at a large.
It's such a big vision, I must say, and I should congratulate you for coming up with this platform because this is a requirement in present time. As things are changing very fast, we need such organization which can monitor things in the terms of diversity and inclusion. So a diverse company does not mean an inclusive company. How do you think the gap can be filled?
I think we should make diversity as one of the priority in a form, because I think that's the first step. When you are diverse, when you have a diversified culture, when you start including people from various backgrounds, I think the second comes how you can have an inclusive environment.
Very true.
An inclusive environment is only when you give chance to each and everyone from the system to contribute towards the basic discussion levels to the execution level. So giving chance, hearing people, having a committee to hear people, probably pushing people to come out of their den and talk about things freely makes an inclusive culture within a system. And I think that's pretty important.
I definitely agree with you because then only we can have real participation by all the parties and all employees in any organization. So what are some diversity and inclusion strategies which companies can follow? Can you highlight some insights?
I think, first of all, there should be an equal opportunity to all, irrespective of religion, community, sexual orientation. At the same time, candidates should have the rapport to probably come up and speak to their peers, to their bosses. And I think that's very important for a company to have a right culture and promote inclusiveness. At the same time, I believe today mental health is a very sensitive area which people
Very
are
true.
not focusing on. What we look at is the physical aspect, how we look, how we move around. I think mental health is a very crucial subject where we need a committee within systems to probably promote open culture where people can walk up to a set of people and talk about the mental issues that they're
Challenges. Yeah.
facing. We talk about kids being bullied in schools, in colleges. I think there is a culture in a professional
True.
setup as well where people are being bullied because of the background they have come from, probably the kind of sexual orientation they have. People are scared to talk about it. I think build the culture of openness is where we probably is the first step we can take as a corporate citizen, as an organization as a large, and to have that committee to focus on it is very important. We did a survey at IDF, and we were surprised to see most of the company were not ready to even share data upfront. I don't know why they were scared about sharing data.
Very true.
Ultimately, the whole idea of creating such surveys is to help each other to see where they stand vis-a-vis their peers,
Very true.
right?
Definitely.
So I think we have to change our mindset. That's important.
Very important. Now we are having the discussion. I would love to know some steps taken by IDF because we have definitely a long list to go to take action plan in terms of training the employees, training the organization representatives, and we have so many steps to follow. So how IDF is playing the role and what exactly is happening? Can you share some insights on that?
Sure, Charu. First of all, as a body, we want people to learn from the best practices that's been followed by the member organization. So what we typically do every month, there is an initiative that we are taking that talks about how a DNI lead in a firm takes an important step in promoting DNI.
Hmm.
One, it gives the DNI lead a platform to talk about what he or she is doing as an individual. It helps others to look at the things they are doing and probably they would like to probably adopt in their own culture. So that
Correct.
is one aspect that we focus on. At the
Okay.
same time, there is something called DNI Spotlight. It's again
Okay.
an initiative that IDF have taken where we promote the member organization
Hmm.
in terms of what DNI practices they are focusing and they're implementing at the organization level. So
Okay.
one is at the lead level, when the DNI lead comes and talk about what they do as an individual, then at the organizational level, we have DNI Spotlight.
Okay.
So we give them base, we become their voice to promote their action and their execution to a larger set of people. Not only just the members will learn from it, but even a larger set of people who are non-members of IDF can learn from them. At the same time, we have various platforms where we get international speaker to talk about their global experience, and probably some Indian firms can probably adopt something which is happening at a global level.
Okay.
We have cases where we have got some individual coming in open and talk about how they felt about when they got to know about something such happening around them, because it's the society plays an important role
Very true.
whether we accept about certain things or not. So we give voice to them. Ultimately the goal is that a larger set of people can be reached through us,
Very true.
right? That's where we have been creating such we're giving such platform and creating such initiatives so that a lot of people can benefit out of it. At the same time, like I said, as the only body in India, we function very professionally. We have 10 different council. Each council comprises of various sectors,
Okay.
and each council is being headed by a council chair.
Mm-hmm.
What do these councils typically do? They have their own agenda that they drive. They
Okay.
can't be a common agenda because every industry have different pain points to look after, right?
Very true.
Each industry will probably, there can be industry, like if you look at technology, they are at top of the curve, right? And there's certain industry like manufacturing, you will find they struggle a lot when it even comes to the basic of gender parity.
Yeah.
Because while they have manufacturing units in tier 2, tier 3 some, they don't get women so easily going out and working some odd hours with the men, right?
Very true.
So each industry have their own objective, their
Correct.
drive. So the council chair makes sure they meet once every quarter to do the review in terms of how they are faring on those objective and these set areas to focus on. And that's how each industry is being able to contribute some way or the other. At the same time,
Mm.
we conduct D&I survey.
Okay.
So the idea of these surveys are that when each of the member firms they participate, they can see where they stand vis-a-vis their peers within the industry and even across industry at a
Yes.
large. So end of the day, it's all about knowing things they are doing right and things where they need to focus on. And then these surveys becomes very handy and useful for the companies to probably take the appropriate action.
Very
At
well
the
said,
same
I must
time,
say. Yeah.
yeah. So these are some of the few things. At the same time, we conduct larger sessions. Like one of the things that we found that area of concern when it comes to any organization is getting the right diversified candidate. You know,
Okay.
diversity hiring is one of the major challenges that you look at. So we conduct job fair where we help these companies to get the right set of people to meet their diversity hiring needs. So
Okay.
this is one small way where we can help them. At the same time, we conduct our annual conclave, which is India Diversity Conclave, which was very well attended this year when we did the first on-ground event. We got 200 plus people attending the event, more than
Wow.
1,500 people who probably watched the proceeding of these event live. Brilliant session. Uh, at the same time, now the next step forward is how we want to make it a more a residential conclave so that people across India can now attend it,
Very
spend
true.
those 1.5, 2 days, and have a very more interactive session to learn from each other. Ultimately, peer learning, I think today is a key.
Very
One
true.
is what you look at and
Yeah.
you aspire to be, and the second is when you look at your peers doing some fantastic job within the space of D&I, you will try to probably either implement what they are doing or probably learn from them. So that's the game, and that's what we are trying to do with an idea of to start off, and maybe probably we will add multiple such other angles to it so that we make it more productive. Just to give an idea, this year we even launched some of the task forces. One of the task forces to focus on getting women back to work. I think one of the
Fantastic.
challenges is women. Yeah, so that is one. Again, there's a set of members who are part of this task force and they are driving this one of the areas. The second task force that we have built is to create D&I toolkit. Today, one of the things that we found in the servers that most of the firm doesn't have policies to focus on D&I. So this D&I toolkit will become a ready reckoner for any firm who wants to probably create policy within their HR policies that focus on D&I. And so yeah, we're working towards it. So that's become one of the important elements within IDF to promote D&I so that it becomes part of the culture within an organization.
Wow, I'm just amazed by the steps you have shared, and so many things are happening in the organization, and it has to be their organization. I will love to give shout out to IDF that reach out to them and then get the inclusion and diversity structured in your organization because this is the requirement for today. So, I'm sure after, I mean, you are working with so many other organizations. By now, you must have figured out what are the major challenges you have faced till now while applying all these strategies for diversity and inclusion in
So
organization.
like so one of the things, Charu, that people talk about it, but they don't implement. They're still scared to
Oh,
share statistics. Like the first GNI survey we did, we found most of the firms, 50% of them didn't participate in. Even though
okay.
we said that, we will not disclose the name of the firms what. So
So
I
even in
think
the
what
tier one city also.
yes, that's
Oh,
that's and we were surprised to see why what was holding them back. So,
okay.
but still, people are not open up about it. If you look at some of the firms, one of the basic things to promote D&I, I think, is to probably have gender parity, right?
Very true.
And then have women at top, talking about women leadership.
Definitely.
There were 93% of the company who said that we want to promote women hiring.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to actual implementation, there was only 44% companies out of those 93% who actually ended up having 33% women workforce. So you
Oh,
can see the the gap.
difference, the gap is there.
The gap is there, and people talk, but they don't execute. It's sometimes it's good to probably have some people talk about D&I policy because others are talking about it. But
Yeah.
what is actually happening? There's a gap.
So it's a long journey,
Inclusiveness.
definitely. It's a long
Yeah,
journey.
yeah.
And I think lots of unlearning has to be done to learn the new way, the culture, the office environment has to change. And the mindset, I think basically the mindset has to change to implement the strategies and to implement the activities which IDF is promoting. So I wish you all the best that this platform gets more recognition and more organizations reach out to you so that they can really structure out the diversity and inclusion in their organizations. My last question, what made you be so passionate about diversity and inclusion in life?
Interesting question. In fact, the multiple facets to it.
Okay,
The first one, while I was growing up, I think the first thing when I saw was the way the men and women are treated in our society. I think that was the stepping stone towards me thinking about how, as an individual, I can make a change.
okay,
Then two, I found that most of the companies in initial days, whether it was a SME or a large setup, they were very particular about which kind of people they are hiring.
Mhm.
Which community, which sexual orientation, and I think these are the things I've seen while I was growing up, and I said, as an individual, somewhere I'm gonna make a difference, and that's when idea first formed, and I got an opportunity to head the management. I said, let's lap it up.
Fantastic.
I That's, as an individual, we can do our bit to make the change, and if each of us start taking that one step towards making that change, I think as a large, the society will definitely benefit out of it.
Wow, beautiful shares, Rishi. And I must say, you are preparing a legacy for for the country, because this is something which is requirement for day. The equality between man and women in organizations is the talk of the world right now. We are everywhere talking about women empowerment, and diversity and inclusion includes this talk also. So I wish you all the best for success for IDF, and I will love to give shout out to IDF. Organizations do reach out in India to IDF to establish the structured, proper way how to have diversity and inclusion in your organization. Thank you so much for giving time to us. Best wishes to you.
Welcome, Sharon. Thank you. Thank you.